Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming back to my channel today. Really love to see, all of your wonderful comments, all of your support for me and what I'm doing here. So, I wanted to talk with you guys today about working with moon energy and why we should be working with it and how we can work with moon energy in our lives. So, some of you might be asking, why we would even choose to work with moon energy. And just like, there are cycles in our lives, there are cycles of the moon. A moon cycle lasts 29.5 days from new moon all the way back to new moon. And just like there's many cyclical things in our life, working with moon energy is a way to honor that. Especially if you are a person who has periods. It's usually said that, period cycles are pretty close to moon cycles. Period cycles average 28 days for, some people. And full moon energy has always in the past been tied with, powerful feminine energy. And so honoring moon cycles is a way to honor feminine energy, and not necessarily just feminine. You can be masculine and still honor feminine energy. In fact, honoring both is an excellent way to balance ourselves and honor ourselves as well. So some reasons someone might choose to work with moon magic. If you're someone who's really sensitive to energy and energy cycles, you might have noticed already, without tying it to moon energy, that you're very sensitive to moon energy. If you are someone who often has periods of time where you're feeling, very energetic, excited, and full of energy and potential, and other times of our life we feel like we need to rest and recuperate and rebuild. And if you pay close attention, you might notice that for some of you, and a lot of you even, that a lot of that energy cycles for ourselves coincides with moon energy. That was one thing I noticed for myself specifically, is that I found myself feeling very low energy around the time of the full moon, and very full of energy closer to the time of the new moon. That sounds kind of counterintuitive to some people, that, full moon, it's the full culmination, the brightest point of the moon being in our sky, so why would that make some people feel low energy? Well, if you're very sensitive to energy, the full moon can be very overwhelming and overstimulating for you. If you've ever wondered why during the time of the full moon you feel low energy and like you need to relax and rest, it's the accumulation of the intentions and the energy we've been working with from the new moon. But we'll get into that in a minute. How do we work with moon energy? The first thing you need to do is learn to keep track of the moon cycles. There's many ways you can do this. There's lots of apps out there that you can put on your phone. Google Calendar, if you use that. Google Calendar on your computer or PC actually has a setting on it that you can use to have a moon energy calendar on your Google Calendar. There's lots of ways to find out when new moons and full moons are occurring. So it's important to know the days that these things are happening on, as well as looking at how they affect your chart personally. So if you have access to your birth chart and you know your birth chart, you can actually check the transits happening in your birth chart and find out where this full moon or new moon is occurring to you, in what house and what sign will affect everybody a little bit differently. So for example, with our full moon that we have coming up in the sign of Virgo, you're going to go and check where Virgo sits in your birth chart. Let's say Virgo is in your 4th house in your birth chart. 4th house deals with themes of family and your home life. So for some of you, if the Virgo full moon is occurring in your 4th house, it's going to bring to the forefront of your mind these things that need to be addressed in your home life, in your family life. So for some of you, that might look like in your 4th house, having to come up with better daily routines that serve your family better. and coming up with structured plans. Now that we know to look at when the full moon is occurring and getting familiar with the dates and cycles, and looking at the sign that it's happening in. Full moons happen opposite the sign that the sun is currently sitting in. New moons, on the other hand, happen in the sign that the sun is currently in. So let's go ahead and talk about different things that we can do during the moon cycles, and what each portion of the moon cycle is best for what. The moon cycle starts off in the new moon, when the moon is completely dark and we can't see it. And so the new moon is our starting point, it's our base to build up to the full moon. So the new moon is a really good time to set intentions for what you would like to manifest or focus on before we come up to the full moon. For some of you, it might be a good time to have a little new moon meditation ceremony for yourself where you sit down and you come up with a few things that you would like to work on and culminate in your life towards the full moon. An example of that would be if you wanted to work more on your patience, then you could set a new moon intention to work towards patience in the days coming up to the full moon. The new moon is a really good time for self-care tasks as well as inner introspection to ourselves. Since the moon is dark, that makes it a very good time to do inner shadow work, inner introspection to our dark parts of ourself. And doing so by taking a look at our dark sides, if you will, means that we're able to start working on them. You know, if you're not aware of something, you can't work towards it. So taking time to really meditate and do some shadow work during the new moon. The new moon is also a really good time to do some house cleaning. Want to start off your new moon with a clean slate, so that way you're not bringing in any stale or stagnant energy from the previous moon cycle with you into this new moon cycle as well. So then we move from the new moon into the waxing phase of the moon cycle. So the waxing phase is the moon getting bigger, moving up towards the full moon. So the waxing phase is a good time to do any sort of intention or spell work or even creative work that you would like to build and progress with. So waxing moon times is about progressive and building and manifesting. It's a good time to get constructive and start actively working towards your plans. So if you notice that during the waxing phase of the moon, you feel very inspired, and this is the phase of the moon where we feel inspired to work and move forward and put in towards these projects and these things that we would like to manifest into our life. It's also the point where if you set an intention at the new moon that you might begin being tested on these things. If you're trying to manifest or you set the intention for patience, your patience will be tested on the waxing full moon. So you will be given opportunities to practice your patience and build it. You know, we can't just ask for things and expect them to just Mary Poppins magic their way into our life. You know, we have to work towards these things. And so little by little, you might notice that you're being progressively tested on these intentions that you set. And they should be looked at as opportunities to strengthen your personal abilities. They should not be looked at as, you know, tests to deter you. In fact, it should be tests to encourage you, to strengthen you, like building a muscle. When you lift weights, you start off with small little weights and progressively work up your strength to heavier weights. And so just like that with the new moon to the full moon, you'll progressively start working on and working towards the intentions and manifestations that you set at the new moon. So then after the waxing phase, we move towards into the full moon phase. And the full moon is a time of accumulation. It's the time where it is the brightest and things have come into this full light. The full moon is a great time to have any sort of ceremonies or spell work. If you're someone who does spell work, the full moon is usually a generally good time to do any sort of spell work that you would like. Mainly though, if you're someone who's been working really, really hard during the waxing phase, the new moon is your time to kind of just sit back and celebrate and let yourself be awash in the energies that are going on. and the transformation that's occurring. Full moons are a really good time for meditation and meditation ceremonies. It's a good time to also do some divination. So cleansing in full moon energy is, some people cleanse their crystals in full moon energy. They lay their crystals out for the full moon. But it's also just a good time to cleanse yourself. A cleansing bath ritual, or like a personal smoke cleansing of yourself or even of your space. The full moon is really the time to do those things, where we're washing ourselves clean with this energy at the end of this cycle. It's the time to celebrate that you did it. And now is the time to just bask in that energy. So after the full moon, we start to move into the waning phase of the full moon cycle. So, we have this really great big buildup full of energy and, excitement during the full moon. And the waning energy is that energy just coming back down. So the waning phase is a really good time to look back on what it is that you were manifesting for the full moon. Did you reach the goals that you had set for yourself for the full moon? Was there anything else that you would have liked to have seen? Was there something that maybe you could work on for next time? The waning phase is a really good time to kind of collect yourself. As the energy starts going down, you might find that you're feeling a little overwhelmed, overstimulated. You might find that the waning phase, you can feel your own personal energy coming down. So you might feel less inspired and less motivated to work on projects or things. But the waning phase, you're not really working on anything actively. It's more of a time of introspection, allowing the energy to go down and kind of resting and recuperating to bring yourself back to this new moon. For others of you, the waning phase, if you're a person who does spell work, the waning phase is the time to do spells that take things and cast them away from you. It's a good time to do any sort of curse breaking if you happen to need to do so for spell work. It's a good time for spells that deal with personal deconstruction. So if you're wanting to do a spell or some sort of work towards getting rid of a habit, say you want to stop smoking, the waning phase is a good time to do any sort of spell work that would push you in that direction of letting things go. It's a good time for getting rid of. At the new moon, it was for cleansing, for a clean slate, but the waning moon is a good time for decluttering things inside that are no longer serving you, as well as things in your life too. If you take just 15 minutes a day or every other day during the waning moon to get rid of stuff, you might find it's easier to let things go and let go of your clutter during a waning moon. This is also, again, a really good time for introspective divination, looking into yourself to see where things are that you could potentially work on, and really getting honest with yourself about things that you would like to do differently. So anyways, I hope that that was helpful for some of you. If you're brand new to working with moon energy, I really like doing these little education-like series for you guys. So you might see more of these videos on this channel. So leave a comment if there's something in particular that you would like me to touch on or educate about. I really look forward to giving you guys more content that can help you move forward with these things. I know when I was starting my journey, it was very confusing. There was lots of information everywhere from many different sources. Yes, you should look at many different sources for your information, but I know it kind of got overwhelming really fast trying to listen to everybody and all of these different things that you should or shouldn't do. So anyway, thank you for being here with me today, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon, and I love you guys.